Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Navigating Your 20s. For this episode, we're going to be talking about dating, and I'm joined by my friend, Emma Geiser.
Hi, Scott. How are you? Oh my God. Why did I know where I am? Just kidding. How are you? Are you doing well?
I'm doing well, yeah.
Okay, great. Perfect. Not awkward at all. It's not awkward if you let it be awkward. So. I feel like a lot of people take it so seriously and act like it's like the end all be all.
I am one of those people. This is why I need to talk to you. Yeah. Okay, so I know that you're a proponent of just asking people out on dates and you like taking that into your own hands. So tell me just about that experience for you. Because you said that you go up to people in bars, like you do all of that. How do you find the courage to do that?
The first thing that comes to mind is the first time I asked somebody out, I definitely was at a bar and he was working at the bar. And I was very nervous. I was very nervous. I thought he was so cute. And my one friend was like, you should go up to him. In my brain, I was like, what is this man talking about? Go up to him. That's ridiculous. There's no way I'm going to do that. And he was like, why not? Like, what do you have to lose? And I was like, that's a fair point. I don't have anything to lose. So I walked up to him and I was so awkward. My hands were shaking. The way I was saying it was so sad. Like literally my hands, my face. I couldn't even look him in the eye. I can say like, oh yeah, I ask people out all the time and all that stuff. But I wouldn't be like that if I didn't have that first time of it being really nerve wracking and me getting like extreme amounts of anxiety, like asking him out.
Yeah. And so a lot of people I think would hear what you're saying. And they're like, okay, well, what if I'm not a confident person? What if I don't feel that way? Do you feel that you're an outwardly confident person?
I feel like yes, but I don't think I was always this way, if that makes sense. Like confidence for me is just like any other part of self-growth, and it takes a lot of time and energy to work on it. And I think it's just like exposing yourself to uncomfortable situations that really helps build that confidence. And I think that anybody can be a confident person. Confidence is a state of mind. It's not rigid. You're not a confident person or not a confident person. It's something that can change over time. Putting yourself in like uncomfortable situations is really how you grow. And asking people out when you might be scared it sounds hard and it sounds like a daunting task, but like you can do anything you put your mind to.
Hypothetically, someone asks someone out, whether it's at a bar or in general for coffee, and someone says no, which is bound to happen. Not everyone's going to say yes, but how would you process that rejection so that you're not really just hurting your self-esteem?
So rejection is protection, right? If somebody is rejecting me, I don't view that as a reflection of who I am as an individual. It just means that that person, where they are in their life, either don't feel a connection with me, which, okay, flip that into a positive. Why would I want to be with somebody who doesn't feel like they would have a connection with me? That seems silly, It's like trying to jam puzzle pieces together that just really won't fit. There's a lot of factors that go into why somebody says no to you. Maybe they just don't find you physically attractive. Okay, great. Like I haven't found every single person I've met physically attractive. That's totally normal.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you, you're asking people out in bars, you're asking people out in general. What about dating apps?
Oh my gosh, I have so many thoughts on dating apps. Okay, when it comes to dating apps, I am in kind of an interesting position because when I was younger, I only dated people for longer periods of time. And so when I wasn't dating them, I wasn't really interested in casual dating at that time. So when I got a little bit older and found myself single for a really long time, I was like, maybe I should get into the dating app scene. And I feel like I got very caught up in how I was portrayed in my profiles, and I would like go in all the time and change my bio, and I would change my pictures, and I would change all these things. Then I started to realize that it would never be an accurate reflection of who I am as a person, because I would go on dates with these people and I'd be like, oh my God, what have I got myself into?
Yeah, it's not always indicative, right?
No, not at all.
It's worse in social media in that people highly manicure pictures, the prompts, they're thinking through it, they're having everyone's input in like what they're going to put on their profile. And then you meet them in person, you're like, oh, I don't think you're anything like what I thought you would be, right?
All the time. Literally happened all the time. And honestly, people probably felt the same way about me. People probably thought that I was some certain type of way and I'm not that certain type of way or whatever. And I also just feel like a lot of them they're not really about dating at the end of the day. Like what it's about is sex and having sex casually, which is fine. But I got to a point on the dating apps that I was using where I was just kind of done with it. And I was like, I don't think that this is benefiting me in any way. I don't think this is benefiting the people that I'm meeting on here in any way, because it just causes me more stress, And I just didn't feel like dealing with it anymore. So I just deleted them. I was like, I'm done. I don't really feel like doing this anymore.
One thing to add. So, I mean, at least my viewpoint on dating apps when I've been on them is after we match and have a couple back and forths, I'd rather just go on a date, honestly.
Right.
Because at that point, instead of messaging online without, really getting the vibe in person. And so I'm a proponent of, you vibe, just go on a date, like make it happen, have a quick turnaround, right?
Exactly. And I think that it took me a little bit of time to learn that because I had a lot of failed just talking stages with so many people I would just talk to for like a week. And then it would fizzle because I wasn't confident enough to make that first move and just be like, let's go get coffee or let's go get this. And then sometimes when I would ask them to go get coffee or go do this, they wouldn't be interested or they wouldn't respond and stuff like that.
It's a good way to tell, if they're not into it, you can be like, okay, I'm done with this.
Okay,
right?
bye.
Yeah.
You're not getting anything else from me. Come on, get out of here.
So what are your thoughts on, and again, we are not experts on dating at all. We're just having a fun conversation. What do you think about you have someone who maybe isn't a close friend of yours, but like there's overlap, right? A mutual friend of yours. And you're like, oh, I think they have a good vibe. I've met them a couple times. What are your thoughts on just asking that person out?
Asking somebody out who's a friend, like I never think that would be a bad thing to just get to know them a little bit better because I mean, yeah, what do you have to lose,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think the fear of failure and rejection that holds people back is just, I don't want things to change. Or,
Right.
Maybe you like someone, maybe you're friends with them or have overlap and you're like, I don't want things to be awkward if this doesn't go well. But what you're saying is you go on one date, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
Hang out, get coffee. Mm-hmm. One question for you though, do you frame it as a date?
Sometimes no, honestly. Sometimes I don't frame it as a date. There were times where I'd be like, let's get coffee and catch up. And I would just have a conversation, an open conversation about anything and everything and just see how the vibe was in that like conversation and then go from there. Because sometimes like you don't know until you sit down and you go and get coffee with someone.
So another thing that I'm thinking of as we're talking is if you're going up to a random person at a coffee shop, at a bar, whatever, and you're asking them out, you're starting to talk to them and then you're asking them out on a date. What about stranger danger?
First of all, that's why you go on dates in public places, without a doubt. That's why I pick coffee shops. That's why I pick restaurants because those places are in public. Also, go on first dates in places that you know or you're comfortable with also can make an uncomfortable thing more comfortable. So like I've asked multiple people on date to this one coffee shop because I like that coffee shop. It makes me feel comfortable when like I'm doing something that's maybe nerve-wracking.
I love that. You pick a comfortable place, so you're going to lessen the nerves a little bit.
Another thing I was thinking about too is dressing for dates. I feel like,
yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, because I love fashion. I would literally pay to get a camera person in my apartment to watch me get ready for things because it is so chaotic and so ridiculous because I start out with like one outfit and then throw everything on the floor and then eventually just go back to the outfit that I first put on, like every time. But when I'm dressing for a date, specifically like a first or a second date, like I try to find something that is a good reflection of who I am as a person, but also something that makes me feel really comfortable. So one of my favorite date outfits is like this brown skirt that goes like midway that I can wear with sneakers and a sweater. So it's like kind of casual, but also kind of nice, but something that you really feel comfortable in and something that makes you feel like yourself. Like I feel like when you're dressing for a date, like that's really important.
Wait, so just to jump in there, I love that you're talking about this idea of finding comfort on a first date because a lot of people who may be afraid of what that's going to be like, about rejection, about, if they don't vibe with the person, if it's really awkward, then, picking a place that you're comfortable with and having an outfit that you really like or an outfit that you're really comfortable in and just a setting that doesn't feel too serious. Like I love the idea of a coffee shop over a nice dinner. It's just making it chill. It's casual.
Right. Because like at the end of the day, if I really want a nice dinner, I could get myself a nice dinner. Okay. I could buy myself a nice dinner. I don't need somebody to take me out on a nice dinner. My reason for being on that date is to gauge that person and try to understand that person and who they are and where they've come from. So for me, like there's only so many things that I can control in this situation, right? Like I can't control how this person's going to answer my questions. I can't control how this person acts on the date, but if I can control a little piece of it just to make myself a little bit more comfortable, I will.
I know that your boyfriend, you slid into his DMs. Can you tell me that story? Because I think it's so entertaining.
This is a fun story to tell. So basically what happened was somebody I went to high school with posted a picture of my current boyfriend on his Instagram story. And I thought to myself, whoa, 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 who is that? Who is that? And he's beautiful. And so I slid up on the story and messaged my friend from high school. I was like, so who is this handsome man? And is he single? And the kid was like, yes, oh my God, he is. Like, you guys actually would kind of be cute together. Like, I can set you up if you want. And I was like, no, don't do any of that. Like, I got it. And he was telling me, like, he was his college roommate for 4 years. They're like really close friends. So I followed him, and then he followed me back the next day. And this is literally so Gen Z of me, but it's fine. I think it was like 3 days after that, I was at my friend's house, and I was just thinking to myself, I was like, maybe I should ask him. Maybe I should just slide into his DMs, because what do I have to lose? But I was like, I don't know. Then I was just thinking to myself, I was like, what do I have to lose here? And so I did. I DM'd him, literally asking, if you could be anyone dead or alive, who would you be? I've never spoken to this man a day in my life.
And was it a good conversation from it?
It was very good conversation from it. So he responded something about Isaac Newton, because he would have liked to discover gravity, because he thought it would be really cool to discover gravity for the first time. So we just kept talking from there on Instagram DM. His answers were so good and so genuine. He kept asking me so many questions, because I would say all this stuff and then ask him a question, and then he would answer my question very in-depthly. And I was like, this does not seem like a conversation for Instagram DMs. And so the one time he asked me a question, and I said, well, if you're going to ask me this many questions, you might as well ask for my number. That feels
okay.
Yeah. I was like, that feels like a good question to ask me. And he was like, what? He was like, oh, okay, here it is. And I was like, okay. I was like, awesome. And so yeah, then I, got his number from there. And then we were texting for a couple more days, and just texting about anything and everything. Literally all the things you could think of, what we're interested in, where I want to travel, what is his passions, what are my passions, things like that. And then he asked me the one day, he was like, how do you feel about phone calls? And I was like, I love phone calls, of course. And he was like, okay, I'll call you in 5. And then we ended up talking for like 3 hours straight that night.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And you ultimately asked him out, right? So how was that?
I was like, well, if I slid into his DMs, I feel like I should ask him out too, Like, I should just finish out the cycle and stuff.
I love that.
Yeah. So like when it comes to asking somebody out, just because I'm a woman and that's not traditional or doesn't make sense for me to ask them out, I just think that, like, I don't know, I just ignore it. I just straight up ignore it, because to me it doesn't matter, because I know who I am as a person, and when I know I want something, I'm going to go for it.
Okay, that's all we have for this episode. Thanks so much for being here, Emma.
You're so welcome.